Well, the first goal is no poverty, that involves eradicating poverty in all the forms. It's not that poverty is a task of charity, if not, it's an act of justice and the key to unlocking an enormous human potential. Still, near half of the world population live in poverty, and lack of food and clean water is killing thousands every day of the year. So, what the UN invited us is that we can together feed the hunger, wipe out diseases, and give everyone in the world a chance to prosper and live in a productive and a rich life. Well, the first target is eradicating extreme poverty. It is expected that by 2030, eradicating extreme poverty for everyone and everywhere, a measure of people living on less than $1.50 per day. However, we plan to eradicate all poverty at all. Anyways, there is the target that we can reduce poverty by at least 50%. This involves reducing half of the population of men, women, and children of age that are living in these economic conditions. Well, the third one is implement social protection systems, and the fourth, equal rights to ownerships, basic services, technology, and economic resources. This means to ensure that all men and women, in particular the poor and the vulnerables, have equal right to economic resources as well as access to basic services, ownerships and control over land and other forms of property, inhabitants and natural resources, appropriate new technologies and financial services including microfinances. Where the last ones are build resilience to environmental, economic, and social disasters. This means that by 2030 there is a wish to build resilience that attend to those in vulnerable situations in case of climate, economic, social, and environmental shocks and disasters. The other one target is mobilize resources to implement policies to end poverty, in particular to those less developed countries, to push them to implement programs and policies to end the poverty in all the dimensions. And the last one is create pro-poor and gender sensibility policies free workers. Well, what happened with COVID-19 and the goal of no poverty? Well, the pandemic led to a negative impact on this term. The pandemic led to a global economic downturn, significantly reduced economic opportunities, particularly for those poorest and most vulnerable population. The economic impact translated into desperate job losses and reduced the incomes, increasing the employment rates in all the world. This economic hardship led to an increase in poverty rates that, according to the World Bank, the pandemic pushed between 70 to 100 billion people back into extreme poverty, reversing years of progress. Well, also schools closes and the shift to online learning disputed education, particularly for those children from low-income families who have lack access to digital resources. And the thing is that education is a crucial factor in breaking this circle of poverty. So what can be done, you might be thinking, and these are the things that the UN recommend us so we can achieve altogether this goal. Well, the first one is find a Global One charity so you can support it. Any donation, big or small, can have a difference. The other one is donate what you don't use. All local charities are going to guarantee that your clothes, books, and furniture will give them a new life. Also, you can support campaigns of collecting items for those victims of immigration. And the last one is that you have to, and the last ones are that you have to be conscious that poverty is still persists in every country. Over 80% of the world population lives in extreme poverty, so you have to let your voice fight against this extreme poverty. And the last one is that you can stay informed, you can, what do you say, you can follow the global goals media, so you can know what is happening about this. Well, to get me update of how is going Uruguay about this goal, I read a document, I think that from El País, that there was an expert talking about the sustainable goals and how Uruguay is being able to manage everyone. And what I rescue is that Uruguay is better than other places in terms of no poverty, of achieving this goal. But anyways, we have a big challenge in the area of child poverty. They say that we have to make a big investment in this aspect. In fact, the country managed to greatly reduce general poverty to 10%, but it has been staged for almost a decade. So it's an evidence that an additional effort must be done. This is important for three reasons. No, one is ethical, since reducing child poverty is a fundamental goal in itself. Another one is economic, because these children in the future will be workers who will be able to contribute to the economic and productive and active participation in society. And finally, there is a question of security in the country, of course. Well, the thing is that if we don't invest in children, especially in neighborhoods that are in a more delicate situation, we risk having in the future more people in prison and fewer people paying contribution, more people participating in environmental dynamics, and fewer people promoting peace. The best thing that you can make in terms of the sustainable goal in reducing poverty, and especially child poverty, is to invest in them. There is a conscience in the country that this must be done, and we have to invest in the economic opportunities, education, and hosting. Well, yeah, in around the world we are not better than in Uruguay. It is said that around the world 10% of the population pre-pandemic was living in extreme poverty and trying to live without the basic needs like health, education, and access to water and sanitation. Post-pandemic, these numbers are worse, no? The numbers are like 125 women between the ages of 25 and 44 living in poverty for every 100 men of the same age group, and more than 160 billion children were at risk of continuing living in this extreme poverty by the 2030. According to the most recent estimated, is that by 2023, almost 70 billion people around the world are living on less than $2.50 per day. There is also projected that the global goal of ending extreme poverty by the estimated age of 2030 will not be achieved with almost 6 billion people still living in this extreme poverty. And also the thing is that extreme poverty is concerned in places where it will be hard to eradicate because they are among less developed countries or in conflict areas and in remote and rural areas also. But I know also that, if not that, not only thinking about the extreme poverty, but also 50% of the world population is now living with less than $6.85 per day. That is like the measure to use to upper middle incomes in the countries.